Taiwan's plan to fund Philippine military bases stunned the Indo-Pacific. Beijing was furious. The news flashed across global outlets, sending shockwaves through the region. In Manila, reporters rushed to the presidential palace. In Beijing, diplomats scrambled to respond. The region's security landscape shifted overnight. Taiwan funding these bases was unprecedented and a direct challenge to China. The stage was set for a new chapter in the Indo-Pacific's power struggle. The U.S. Congressional Commission's proposal is a creative twist in regional security. Washington has long sought stronger alliances in Asia. Now, Taiwan may help fund upgrades to Philippine military bases. Under EDCA, the U.S. already uses key Philippine bases, but many need upgrades. Taiwan's involvement could blur the lines between South China Sea and Taiwan defense. The U.S. hopes this cooperation deters China, though it risks backlash from Beijing. To understand why Taiwan might take this risk, it helps to look back in history. In the 1970s, Israel faced a hostile neighborhood and limited international support. To survive, it built secret alliances and relied on outside funding, often funneled through American channels. These partnerships gave Israel the edge it needed to defend itself and deter its enemies. Taiwan now finds itself in a similar position, isolated diplomatically, constantly threatened by a much larger neighbor, and unsure of how much help will come in a crisis. Like Israel, Taiwan is seeking creative ways to build alliances and strengthen its defenses. Funding Philippine military bases is not just about generosity, it's about survival and building a network of friends who might help in a time of need. The comparison goes even deeper. Israel's partnerships in the 1970s were controversial and sometimes secret. Taiwan's proposed funding would also need to be carefully managed to avoid open confrontation with China. Both cases show how small, threatened democracies can punch above their weight by working with others and thinking outside the box. Taiwan's move, if it happens, would be a bold step, one that echoes the survival strategies of nations that refuse to stand alone in dangerous times. Direct military cooperation between Taiwan and the Philippines would be politically explosive. Both sides know it. That's why the proposed funding would likely flow through indirect channels, with the United States acting as a middleman. This approach offers political cover for Manila and Taipei, reducing the risk of immediate Chinese retaliation. Here's how it could work. Taiwan would allocate funds to the United States, which would then use those resources to upgrade enhanced defense cooperation agreement sites in the Philippines. Officially, the money would be labeled as U.S. assistance. In reality, it would be Taiwanese support, hidden behind layers of bureaucracy and diplomatic language. This method is not new. Similar arrangements have been used in past international aid and defense projects. For the Philippines, this setup allows it to benefit from extra funding without openly challenging its One China policy. For Taiwan, it means investing in a neighbor's security without making itself a direct target. The United States, meanwhile, gains a stronger regional position and shows its allies that it can coordinate complex, multilateral support. This indirect approach is clever, but honestly, it's not foolproof. China's intelligence agencies and diplomats are likely to uncover the real source of the money. Still, the extra layers make it harder for Beijing to retaliate without risking backlash from other countries. Why are the northern Philippine bases so important? Well, geography is destiny in the Indo-Pacific. The northernmost Philippine islands, like Luzon and the Batanes chain, are just a short flight or boat ride from Taiwan. In a crisis, these bases could play a crucial role in monitoring Chinese movements, supporting U.S. and allied forces, and even providing sanctuary for refugees. For Taiwan, the fate of these bases could mean the difference between survival and defeat. If China launched an attack, northern Philippine bases could be used to resupply Taiwan, gather intelligence, or mount rescue operations. For the United States, these sites are essential for projecting power and reassuring allies that America will stand by them in a crisis. The Philippines also benefits. By hosting upgraded bases, it gains better defenses against Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. These sites can host more advanced surveillance systems, missile defenses, and rapid reaction forces. The improvements would make it harder for China to intimidate or isolate the Philippines, especially in disputed waters. The stakes are high. Whoever controls or influences these bases will have a major say in the region's future security landscape. Over the past decade, China's military has, grown at a remarkable pace. Its navy is now considered the largest in the world. Alongside that, China's Coast Guard and maritime militia regularly patrol disputed areas, including waters claimed by the Philippines. In recent months, Chinese vessels have rammed Filipino boats, fired water cannons, and blocked supply missions to Philippine outposts. These actions aren't just isolated incidents, they're part of a broader strategy to push the United States and its allies out of the region. China wants to dominate the South China Sea and deter any country from supporting Taiwan. Every new military exercise, every new base built on artificial islands, sends a clear message. China is here to stay, and it won't tolerate challenges to its claims. The Philippines in particular has felt the pressure. Its fishermen have been chased from traditional waters, and its Coast Guard has faced some pretty dangerous confrontations. The US has responded by increasing military patrols and joint exercises, but, the risk of escalation is always there. With Taiwan now potentially joining the mix, China's sense of encirclement will only grow. The region is becoming more militarized, and the risk of a clash is definitely rising. For Taiwan, investing in overseas military bases is really about creating what they call defense in depth. The island knows it just can't match China's military power on its own, but by building partnerships and supporting allied bases nearby, Taiwan can, complicate any Chinese attack plan and buy precious time in a crisis. Helping to upgrade Philippine bases gives Taiwan a stake in the region's security, and it also sends a signal to Beijing that any move against Taiwan could trigger a wider response. Plus, it reassures the Taiwanese public that their leaders are thinking creatively about national survival. In a worst-case scenario, these bases could serve as launchpads for relief missions, evacuation routes, or even staging areas for counterattacks. Of course, this strategy isn't without risks. Taiwan's involvement could make the bases targets for Chinese pressure or sabotage, but for Taipei, the benefits outweigh the dangers. By supporting the Philippines, Taiwan also hopes to win international sympathy and maybe even inspire other countries to follow suit. In the face of growing threats, Taiwan is betting that alliances, and not isolation, are the key to survival. For the Philippines, this deal offers more than just military upgrades. Improved bases mean better security against Chinese incursions. They also mean new jobs, construction projects, and investment in local communities. The presence of US and possibly other allied forces brings economic benefits to the surrounding areas. But honestly, the biggest gain here is leverage. By accepting outside funding, especially from Taiwan, even if it's indirect, the Philippines is signaling that it has options. It's not solely dependent on China for trade or investment. It can work with other democracies to protect its interests, and that gives Manila more bargaining power in future negotiations with Beijing. Of course, there are innersalter sauerbertsan, des nor pinderdosor, broadball kinaberkurstalber killer star risks. China could retaliate with economic sanctions or increased military pressure. But the Philippines has shown it's willing to take calculated risks to defend its sovereignty. With better bases and stronger alliances, it hopes to deter aggression and avoid being bullied. This move could also inspire other Southeast Asian nations to seek similar partnerships, making things even more complicated for China's regional ambitions. China's response to the proposal has been, swift and harsh. Beijing sees any cooperation between Taiwan and the Philippines as a direct challenge to its One China policy and its territorial claims. Chinese officials have warned of serious consequences and have even hinted at possible economic and military retaliation. The risk of escalation here is very real. If all sides continue to harden their positions, a minor incident could quickly spiral into a much larger conflict. The region's waterways are crowded with ships and planes, so misunderstandings or accidents could easily trigger a crisis. The involvement of multiple countries, including the US, raises the stakes even higher. At the same time, though, this proposal is shifting the region's alliances. Countries that once hesitated to work together are now finding common cause against a more assertive China. This could lead to a stronger, more united front, but it could also provoke China to take even bolder actions to defend its interests. The Indo-Pacific is entering a new era. The Taiwan-Philippines funding plan is just the latest sign that the old rules are changing, and honestly, the risk of conflict is rising.